The reality of all these projects is that they do involve an immense degree of complexity. So I would like to thank all the finalists for being able to distill these immensely complex projects into a short amount of time. And they've provoked a lot of discussion and a lot of questions, and that's part of why this whole process exists. So let's take this opportunity now to talk a little bit more about the projects and some of your thoughts on seeing all the finalists now. Elizabeth?
Yeah, well, you know, one of the great things about public art is that it has the potential to create a visceral response and experience. And I think that these projects are doing that. They're engaging an embodied experience, and I think that's the strength of these particular projects.
You know, this is a really interesting process because this is not a linear hierarchical award. It's really just a game and a vehicle for seeing a lot of really beautiful projects. But I think it's kind of interesting because you want to see, there's a magic in place by design and art and interaction of sort of like the hidden corner, you know, something from nothing. You know, the swings, for example, the swings are very magical when they first occurred. And it's a total catharsis. But then the touring of it, it becomes this kind of object, and it's a different kind of magic. It's a more traceable. It's not something from nothing. It's something from something else. So that's interesting because it's what happens to the space, not what's the object.
But I think one of the challenges with the public art projects or engagement projects is that people want them to be iterative or that they can be taken to other communities. So what are your thoughts on then how do you keep that magic and keep the local, as was mentioned with some of the projects that this is a specific site project. So what are some thoughts on how to manage that process, or can you?
I think it's a really good question. I think what's key for that is recognizing the place that you are either in or going to, and the importance of working with groups that are on the ground in that area to contextualize the process in that particular space, so that the project sort of remains relevant, I think, to the new communities in which it's moving to.
I used to be a partner at a studio in New Orleans called Civic Center that was founded with an artist called Candy Chang. She did a piece called Before I Die, and I watched her go through the process of transforming that from one wall to many walls, and then really into a kit that could scale across the world. And so I guess my interest in the direction of a lot of the questions that I asked are around really pragmatic, like how do we scale this? What's coming next? Or what is the potential for this? So I think I love the beauty of a lot of the projects, but I'm really concerned around the future of them, what's coming next.
At the same time, I mean, when we talk about scale, you know, part of this process is about the environment, right? And so one of the biggest issues we face with scalability is sustainability. And so maybe scalability isn't always a good thing. I'm just going to pose that. And that there is some sort of magic, as Stephen said, in doing very place-based, localized work.
Sorry to jump in. I don't think scalability necessarily needs to mean that the project pops up in loads of different places necessarily. It might just be appropriate for one place, but rather that that if it has some potential to have some impact beyond just that location or just that moment, that it does. For instance, that there's, say, a web presence for it where people could input their feelings or learn about the project, things like that.
You know, I would say it's art. And everywhere else, issues of scalability and objects and manufacturing and all this stuff, those values apply. But art is a very special, uniquely human experience. And within that realm, you know, that's the place where just pure idea and pure magic can live. And I think it's really, you know, for me, I think art is about mystery. You know, where like architecture, everything else seems to have some sort of like function, but art is really just about a mystery, about the unknown, and about just something that just happens. And I think it's important to preserve that, and to have to be able to have space in the society for that. And there's always a crack somewhere. And I think art, site-specific artwork is really just all about finding those cracks, and not about, just that's what it's for. I don't know what it's not about.
Well, and I think all the projects, but I think all those projects speak to that as well, that, I mean, infrastructure is immensely important because it's the base on which all things are built. Planning, design, all those things make all those components work together, but I don't think humans can exist on pure function alone, that, if it could, nature wouldn't be beautiful. That we need beauty, we need these opportunities for play, we need these chances to interact in unexpected ways, and I think that's the beauty of a lot of these projects, that something as simple as picking a color for your school can bring a whole new dimension of engagement and meaning, and sitting on a swing and making music together, or reconnecting to Detroit's amazing musical heritage, or reconnecting to a place and a site of memorial, and all these various things that these projects bring to the table. So I'd like to once again thank the finalists for their thoughtful, compelling, and magical projects. And I apologize again for having to cut you off. I take no happiness in that. And I would also like to thank our jurors for your very thoughtful and sometimes difficult questions, but it's a great process, not only for the people presenting, but also for all of us to kind of think about what we're working on and what questions we might be answering well, and then the ones that need work as well. So excellent. Thank you for that.